Okay, good afternoon. Good evening.
Wait lang po. Okay na.
Good afternoon. We will be continuing our state procurement activity for this afternoon. The scheduled trading conference for 5 contracts or 6 contracts. 25, the resolution 102 for the Spanish National Road. 25 is the 270 construction of river for Island Pacific River with one section of the Bahuna. 25 is the 345 National Building Program construction of electric vehicle charging stations. 25 is the construction of various classrooms under basic education facilities fund or school. 26 is the 66 construction of various classrooms under basic education facilities in the one condition. 26 is the 67 construction of white program has buildings at the one California and some funding space. In attendance for this afternoon, the back regular member in the government line, provisional member for all types, including everybody put on winner, provisional member for construction of relevant projects, engineering social people, and restaurant the master person of their neighborhood balance. Also attending are the members of the law secretariat and the technical working group, as well as staffs or representatives from the construction division and maintenance divisions. Before we proceed, let's also acknowledge the attendance of representatives from prospective leaders. We have online from Plainfield Corporation, Sheila on site one. So we can proceed now with the construction of the level.
Di ba po i-exclude ako? Sige, i-play mo ulit pag ganun. Hindi ko matakot. Nakamisip na. Papa.
Good day, everyone. I am Engineer Christian Rodriguez Soto from the Construction Division, and I'll be presenting the pre-bid conference. And I'll be presenting the technical components of the pre-bid for this afternoon under the implementation of Construction Division. For contract ID number 258027P, repeating. Construction of river control along Pagsanhan River, Loban Section, Laguna, Phase 2. Items of work. Facilities for the engineer. 8.1.1, sub 8. Provision of field office for the engineer, rental basis per month. 8.1.2, sub 4. Provision of 4x2 pickup type service vehicle for the engineer on bare rental basis, vehicle monthly. 8.1.4.1, provision of progress photographs per month. Part B, other general requirements. B.5, project billboard, signboard, each. B.7 sub 1, occupational safety and health program, month. B.9, mobilization, demobilization, lump sum. B.18, sub 1, train weight, linear meter. Showing you the DPWH standard project billboard layout. Showing you the minimum major equipment requirements for the medium contractors. Showing you the calibration map, location map, key map, and vicinity map. Showing you the typical section, reinforcement details, sheet pile details, and other details. For the scope of work, construction of 30mm thick reinforced concrete revetment with rubble concrete as fill material, supported by reinforced concrete pile cap with type 2 U-type steel sheet pile at the foot of the structure, parapet wall, and earthworks. Showing you the minimum major equipment requirements. Showing you the minimum work experience requirements for the key personnel. Approved budget for the contract is 49,500,000 pesos. The source of fund is FY 2025 GAA for DPWH Infra Program. And the contract duration is 210 calendar days. Showing you the major category of works and similar categories of works. That's all for the projects under the implementation of construction division.
Question for verification on Susan on also. Based on the
message.
I think we can proceed now. Or the next one is their maintenance division.
Good afternoon. I'm Engineer Rafael Alarcon from the Maintenance Division. Now I will present to you the projects under the maintenance. For contract ID number 2016-0063, construction of various classrooms under Basic Education Facilities Fund, BEFF Batch 2. Fiscal year 2026 DPWH Infrastructure Program, construction of two-story 4 classroom, Bagong Bayan Elementary School sa Pablo City, Laguna. Construction of two-story 4 classroom, Balagbag Elementary School, Cuenca, Batangas. Construction of two-story 4 classroom, Manilo C1 Integrated National High School, formerly San Antonio National High School Annex, San Antonio, Quezon. Construction of two-story 4 classroom, Lucena City National High School, Ilayan 2 by extension, Lucena City, Quezon. Construction of two-story 6 classroom, Malban Central School, Malbar, Batangas, Batangas Province. Construction of three-story 6 classroom, Tulo Elementary School, Taal, Batangas, Batangas Province. Construction of 4-story 8 classroom, Kanda National High School, Sariaya, Quezon. Construction of 4-story 8 classroom, Leviste Elementary School, Laurel, Batangas, Batangas Province. Construction of four-story 8 classroom, Pananginan Elementary School, Kawit, Cavite. Construction of four-story and 8 classroom, Pulo National High School, Cabuyao, Laguna. Construction of four-story 8 classroom, Rosario Elementary School, Rosario, Cavite. Construction of four-story 8 classroom, Tiati Elementary School, Calamba, Laguna. For contract ID number 26D063, construction of four-story gold classroom, Tangway Integrated School, Pasiti, Batangas, Batangas Progress. For contract ID number 26D066, construction of various classrooms under Basic Education Facilities Fund or BSFF batch 1 completion. Completion of two-story, four-classroom Casa Real School, Paki, Laguna. Completion of two-story, four-classroom Hermana Costa Elementary School, Lucena, Quezon. Completion of two-story, four-classroom Kanatihan Elementary School, Candelaria, Quezon. Completion of two-story, four-classroom Sariaya National High School, Sariaya, Quezon. Completion of three-story, six-classroom Lucena City National High School, Mayor Crossing Extension, Lucena City, Quezon. Construction of three-story, six-classroom Pakil Elementary School, Pakil, Laguna. Construction of three-story, six-classroom Paniparan Elementary School, Dasmariñas, Cavite. Construction of three-story, six-classroom Santo Ángel Norte Elementary School, Santa Cruz, Laguna. Completion of four-story, eight-classroom Cabadi Elementary School, Antipolo, Rizal Province. Completion of four-story, eight-classroom Pagsawitan Elementary School, Pagsangan, Laguna Province. Completion of four-story, 12-classroom Lucena South Second Elementary School, Lucena City, Quezon. Completion of four-story, 12-classroom Santa Cruz Elementary School, Dasmariñas, BBS, ESE, Dasmariñas, Cavite. Completion of fourth-story 16 classroom, Tingloy National High School, Tingloy, Batangas. Completion of fourth-story 20 classroom, Trece Martinez City National High School, Trece Martinez, Cavite. Completion of fourth-story 12 classroom, Calugcog National High School, Calugcog, Cavite. Completion of fourth-story 12 classroom, Trece Martinez City National High School, Trece Martinez, Cavite. For contract ID number 26D067, construction of White Cobra, the Haas Building, Santa Monica, Tagakawayan, Quezon, Phase 3. For contract ID number 25D0210, repeating fiscal year 2025 DPWH Infrastructure Program, Organizational Outcome 1, Ensure Safe and Reliable National Road System Asset Preservation Program, Preventive Maintenance Tertiary Roads. Bacoor, Matsas-Marinas National Road. Kilometer 16 plus negative 692 to kilometer 60. Kilometer 17 plus 500 to kilometer 19 plus 652. Kilometer 19 plus 664 to kilometer 21 plus 910. Kilometer 23 plus 2170 to kilometer 23 plus 410. Kilometer 23 plus 577 to kilometer 23 plus 718. Kilometer 23 plus 926 to kilometer 24 plus 80. Kilometer 24 plus 97 to kilometer 24 plus 172. Kilometer 25 plus 57 to kilometer 25 plus 974. Kilometer 26 plus 36 to kilometer 26 plus 242. And kilometer 26 plus 307 to kilometer 26749. For contract ID number 25D0345, fiscal year 2025 DPWH National Building Program, construction of electric vehicle charging stations. Showing you here is the items of works. For Part A facilities for the engineer, 8.1.8 sub 8, provision of field office for the engineer, rental basis per month. For contract ID numbers 25T 2110, 210, 26T 63, 26T 66, and 26T 67. Rental of an office space with a minimum floor area of 48 square meter. 8.1.2 sub 4, provision of 4.2 pickup type service vehicle for the engineer on bare rental basis, vehicle 1. For contract ID numbers 25T0345, 26T063, 26T066, and 26T067. 8.1.4 sub 1, provision of promised photographs per month. Provision of one SLR camera and printing of 3R size progress photographs to record the exact progress of the contract works. Photos taken before, during, and after the work implementation to be submitted per month, duly signed by the contractor provided with the output. For common items in Part B, other than general requirements. B.3 sub 1, permits and clearances, LABSA, for contract ID numbers 26D063 and 26D066. B.1 sub 1, B.5 sub 1, project billboard signboard each, installation of 2 pieces project billboard, one at the beginning and another at the end of the project. B.7 sub 1, occupational safety and health program per month for contract ID number 25D0210. Provision for personal protective equipment such as safety helmet, safety shoes, working gloves, dust masks, eye goggles, ear muffs, raincoats, and miscellaneous items such as a medicine cabinet. The contractor shall provide qualified and experienced safety officer and first aider. D.7 sub 1, occupational safety and health, lump sum for contract ID numbers 25D0345, 26D063, and 26D066, and 26D067. B.8 sub 1, traffic management per month for contract ID number 25D0210. B.9, mobilization demobilization lump sum for contract ID numbers 25D0210, 26D063, 26D066, and 26D067. B.20, temporary fence lump sum for contract ID numbers 26D063 and 26D066. Showing you the standard DPWH project billboard. Now showing you here is the minimum material testing equipment for small contractors. For contract ID number 26D067 and 25D0345. Now showing you the minimum material testing equipment for medium contractors for contract ID numbers 26D066 and 25D0210. Now showing you the minimum material testing equipment for large construction. For contract ID number 26D063. For contract ID number 26D063, construction of various classrooms under Basic Education Facilities Fund or BSFF, batch 2. The scope of work is structural is clearing and rolling, structural excavation and embankment, all footing tie beam and roof beam, all concrete foundation and rock trusses. Architectural, floors, walls, and ceiling works, all doors and windows, roofing works, carpentry and joinery works, and railings. For plumbing, plumbing ramp-ins and fixtures, cold water lines, storm drainage, catch basin, sewer line works, and septic tank. For electrical, conduit ramp-ins and fixtures, wires and wiring devices, panel board with main and branch breakers, and lighting fixtures. For mechanical, ventilating system and fire extinguisher. Now showing you here is the minimum major equipment requirements. Now here is the minimum work experience requirements for the key personnel. The approved budget for the contract is 416,864,340 pesos and 70 centavos. The source of fund is fiscal year 2026 GAA for DP demolition infrastructure program. Contract duration is 300 calendar days. Showing you here is the major and similar categories of works. For contract ID number 163,066, construction of various classrooms under Basic Educational Facilities Fund, BEFF, Batch 1 completion. Completion of three-story six classroom, Lucena City National High School, Manual Crossing Extension, Lucena City, Quezon. Construction of three-story six classroom, Pakil Elementary School, Pakil, Laguna. Construction of three-story six classroom, Palipanan Elementary School, Esmanilis, Cavite. Construction of three-story six classroom, Santo Angel Norte Elementary School, Santa Cruz, Laguna. For architectural works, showing you here is the perspective. The ground floor, third floor, and second floor plan. Showing you here is the right side, left side, cross section, and rear elevation. Completion of four-story A classroom, Cavite Elementary School at Tipolo, Rizal Province. Completion of four-story A classroom, Pagsawitan Elementary School, Pagsangan, Laguna Province. Architectural, showing you here is the perspective. Now showing you the following key plan. For the structural rules, showing you here is the floor framing and foundation plan. For plumbing, showing you here is the sewer and drainage layout. Now here is the isometric diagram, sewer and drainage layout. For the electrical, showing you here is the electrical riser diagram, the power layout, lighting layout. For the mechanical, showing you here is the location of the cistern and the isometric diagram of water pumping system. Completion of four stories is in classroom, Tingloy National High School, Tingloy, Batangas. For architectural, showing you here is perspective. Showing you the key plans. Completion of 4 stories, 20 classroom, Trece Martinez City National High School, Trece Martinez Cavite. For architectural, showing you this perspective. Now showing you the key plans. For the scope of work, structural, all structural concrete works, for architectural, floors, walls, and ceiling works, all doors and windows, roofing works, and railings. For plumbing, plumbing wrappings and fixtures, cold water lines, storm drainage, catch basin, sewer line works, and septic tank. For electrical works, conduit wrappings and fixtures, wires and wiring devices, panel board with paint and branch breakers, and lighting fixtures. Mechanical, ventilating system, and fire extinguisher. Now showing you here some major equipment requirements. Now for the minimum work experience requirements for the key personnel. The approved budget for the contract is 127,041,086 pesos and 13 centavos. The source of fund is fiscal year 2026 GAA for DPWH infra program. Contract duration is 300 calendar days. Now showing you is the major and similar categories of works. For contract ID number 26D067, fiscal year 2026 DPWH infrastructure program, construction of White Cobra, the Haas Building, Santa Monica, Tagakayawayan, Quezon, Phase 3. For electrical, showing the site development plan, the ground floor lighting layout, ground floor power layout. Now for electronics and telecommunications, for mechanical, showing you the ground floor air conditioning and ventilation layout. For plumbing, here is the water line layout, sewer line layout, and the storm drain layout. Here is the water line isometric layout, the sewer line isometric layout, the storm drain isometric layout. For the scope of work, construction of White Cobra, the Haas Building, Santa Monica, Kawayan, Quezon involves structural, architectural, sanitary or plumbing, electrical, mechanical, and electronics implementation for the White Cobra building. The minimum major equipment requirements. Now showing you the minimum work experience requirements for the key personnel. The approved budget for the contract is 15,422,500 pesos. The source of fund is fiscal year 2026 GMA for DPWH infra program. Contract duration is 180 calendar days. Showing you here is the major and similar categories of works. For the contract ID number 25D0210 Reviti. Fiscal Year 2025 DPWH Infrastructure Program, Organizational Outcome 1, ensure safe and reliable national road system, asset preservation program, preventive maintenance tertiary roads, for Bacoor Dasmariñas National Road, kilometer 16 plus minus 6922, kilometer 16, kilometer 17 plus 500 to kilometer 19 plus 653. Kilometer 19 plus 664 to kilometer 21 plus 910. Kilometer 23 plus 170 to kilometer 23 plus 410. Kilometer 23 plus 577 to kilometer 23 plus 718. Kilometer 23 plus 926 to kilometer 24 plus 80. Kilometer 24 plus 097 to kilometer 24 plus 173. Kilometer 25 plus 057 to to kilometer 25 plus 974. Kilometer 26 plus 036 to kilometer 26 plus 242. Kilometer 26 plus 307 to kilometer 26749. Showing you your Saki plan, vicinity map, and the layout map. Here is the straight line diagram. The scope of work is asphalt overlay and road widening using RCBC riding surface as concrete roads. Showing here is the minimum major equipment requirements. Showing here is the minimum work experience requirements for the key personnel. The approved budget for the contract is 245 million pesos. The source of fund is fiscal year 2025 GAA for DPWH Infra Program, contract duration 300 calendar days. Now for the major, showing you here is the major and similar category supports. For contract ID number 25D0345, fiscal year 2025, DPWH National Building Program, construction of electric vehicle charging station for Batangas First. Electrical, showing here is the site development plan. For Batangas Second. For electrical, showing you the site development plan. Construction of electric vehicle charging station for Batangas Third. Showing you here is the site development plan for Batangas Third. Construction of electric vehicle charging station for Batangas Fourth. For electrical, showing here is the site development plan. Now for Cavite First. Showing here is the site development plan for Cavite First. Construction of electric vehicle charging station for Batangas Second. Showing you here the site development plan for Batangas Cavite Second. Now for Cavite Third. Showing you the site development plan for Cavite Third. Now for Laguna First. Showing you the site development plan for Laguna First. Construction of electric vehicle charging station for Laguna Second. Site development plan for Laguna Second. For Laguna Third, showing you here the site development plan for Laguna Third. For Quezon First, showing you here is the site development plan for Quezon First. Now for the same project for Quezon Second. Showing you in the site development plan for Quezon Second. Now for Quezon Third. Showing you here the site development plan for Quezon Third. For the same project of construction of electric vehicle charging station for Quezon Fourth. Showing you here the site development plan for Quezon Fourth. Now for the result first. Showing you here the site development plan for result first. Now for the construction of electric vehicle charging station for result second. Showing you the site development plan for result second. Now for construction of electric vehicle charging station for region 14. Now show you here the site development plan for region 14. The scope of works for the construction of electric vehicle charging station and construction of structural concrete class 8 days, installation of metal structural accessories such as steel plates, bolts and rods, structural steel, soil poisoning, and painting work steel. Installation of rigid steel conduit 15 mm diameter and intermediate metal conduit 50 mm diameter. Conduit backsets and filters. Electric wires such as 2 mm squared, 3.5 mm squared, 14 mm squared, and 22 mm squared, 50 mm squared, 80 mm squared. Stranded single pole wall switch on one plate, panel board with main and branch breakers, lighting fixtures, and electric vehicle charging equipment, DC 60 kW. Showing here is some minimum major equipment requirements. Now showing here is a minimum work experience requirement for the key personnel. The approved budget for the contract is 24,221,500 pesos. The source of fund is fiscal year 2025 RA 10116 regular 2025 current. Contract duration is 90 calendar days. Now showing you here is the major and similar categories of works. That's all for the projects under the maintenance. Thank you.
Legal.
We have questions or clarifications from our attendees. We'd like to acknowledge first the attendance of meeting with Jeff Arias, draft member for the Internet Projects. We also have attendees on site, representatives from Mark Construction and Supply, So, we have question for with the projects presented earlier.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Neil Panero from Marvel Concept.
Okay, sir.
So regarding the 60 kilowatt DC dual gas charger, sir, for the site, meron ng dedicated na isolation transformer for each location kung saan ilalagay. Or the EV charging station.
Please take note of the question. Dedicated answer.
For ACC kilowatts, 60 kilowatts DC charging stations required to have DC charging station. It is required to have 75 kVA isolation transformer. Hindi siya pwedeng ano lang naka-connect lang sa PLT.
Pero sa 60 lang.
3-phase 5 wires. ENS.
At least.
Kasi dapat plus 25% because it's buong siya. Nasa built-in phone yun, sir.
And we take note of their observations. Like really not to sound. And kasi ang prepare to them. Please, we'll take note of.
Yes.
Yung sa charging station.
Ma'am, kasi for days, hindi na kilowatt charging station. Siguro Who providing so that's one. So actually,
Nakapose dito, sir. I think we think that's enough or we have to reconsider.
for the specs for our most units for the 60 kilowatts to 75. It's really a complication. Very down because
Consider if there's a.
because 50 or 60 kilowatts good na for KVA is good for mga 40 kilowatts. So Venus just for Venus grocer yung
Mr. Pastor,
so Venus grocer ko kailangan plus 25% sa
allowance.
that's
Sir will take note of that observations. Or just not really. And then we'll take necessary before anyone find an option for.
Kasi para sinunod sir kung may Wi-Fi connection, kasi Wi-Fi connection sir, kasi if you need to monitor the condition the charger para mo-monitor yung status niya. And refer niya we have a central we have a effective monitor station to check yun para kung may mga problema. Dapat may Wi-Fi mo connected yung IDC mo para sa pag-manage.
Okay, so I'm advised to take note na getting to say that try to revisit our space. Meron po from sorry, please don't mind. May online para ma-compare.
Ay, kayo na lang po yun, sir.
Okay na. Sige, sir, tuloy lang po natin yung president.
Good afternoon. Now, showing you here is the legal and financial. For relationship, ITP clause 1.1 The preferring entity of is DPWH is Department of Public Works and Highways, DPWH, Regional Office Number 48. The project title is as discussed previously. The identification number of the contract is as discussed previously. ITB clause 2, the funding source is 2.1. The GOP through the source of funding as indicated below for fiscal year 2025 GAA and fiscal year 2026 the amount as discussed previously. 2.2, the source of funding is NGA, the General Appropriation Act for Special Appropriations. ITB clause 3.1, no further instructions. ITB clause 5.2, bidding is restricted to eligible bidders as defined in ITB clause 5.2. ITB clause 5.4, contracts similar to the project shall be those described as follows. 1. The following is the major category of works involved in the contract to be bid, as discussed previously. 2. The following are the similar categories of works that shall be considered in the evaluation of the works required for the contract to be bid, as discussed previously. ITB clause 7, no further instructions. ITB clause 8.1, subcontracting is not allowed. ITB clause 8.3, not applicable. ITB clause 8.4, subcontracting is not allowed. ITB clause 9.1, the procuring entity will hold a pre-bid conference for this project on July 23, 2026 at 2 p.m. at DPWH Bidding Room, Regional Office 4A, Canlubang Interchange, Barangay Mayapa City of Calamba, Laguna, and or through video conferencing via Zoom and live stream on YouTube. ITB clause 10.1, the procuring entity address is Edward Martin M. Manales, BAC, Chairperson, telephone number 049-348-10219. Email address is procurement_r48@dpwh.gov.ph. ITB clause 12.1H, bidders are also required to submit the following documents. 1. Latest General Information Sheet or GIS, reflecting the beneficial ownership information, or POI, duly received by the Securities and Exchange Commission for corporations. And 2, valid ISO 9001 to 2015 certification or its latest version issued by accredited certification body when applicable pursuant to Department Order Number 110, Series of 2024, for bidders classified under the following pickup size ranges and participating in the infrastructure projects within the corresponding approved budget for the contract. Large A, more than 300 billion but less than 450 million, effective January 1, 2025. Medium B, more than 150 billion but less than 300 billion, effective July 1, 2025. Medium A, more than 30 million but less than 150 million, effective January 1, 2026. For large B, contractors, ISO 9001 to 2025-2015, certification shall continue to be required for infrastructure project costing 300 million and above. Failure to submit any of the foregoing documents when applicable shall be ground for disqualification. ITB clause 1.1H2, the minimum work experience requirement for each personnel are the following. Include the tax identification number of all key personnel. Accredited safety officer required of an issuance of notice of award subject to DO 98 series of 2014, submission of construction safety and health program approved by the Department of Labor and Employment. First aider with the certificate of training issued by Red Cross in compliance with DOLE requirements for the approval of construction safety and health program required upon issuance of notice of award. subject to DO's 198 series of 2014. Submission of Construction Safety and Health Program approved by the Department of Labor and Employment. The key personnel shall meet the following number of years work experience. 1. The experience means total years of civil works experience of any nature in construction, engineering, and engineering consultancy services. Number 2. Compliance to DO number 169 series 2025 guidelines on the accreditation and assignment of contractors and consultants project engineers. 3. Compliance to DO 98 series of 2016 revised guidelines on the accreditation of contractors, consultants, materials engineer. Number 4, include the contact number of the materials engineer. ITB clause 12.1H3. The minimum major equipment requirements are the following as discussed previously. Please refer to EO 11 series of 2017 for the minimum material testing equipment and DO 127 series of 2018. Strict compliance of RA 1984 in the conduct of post-qualification of bidders with delay on ongoing contracts with the DPWH. ITB clause 12.4. The ABC is as discussed previously. Any bids with financial component exceeding this amount shall not be accepted. ITB clause 14.1. The bid prices shall be quoted in Philippine peso. ITB clause 14.3. Not applicable. ITB clause 15.1. Bids will be valid for 120 calendar days for bid opening. ITB clause 16.1. The bid security shall be in the form of bid security declaration for any of the following. The amount of not less than 2% of ABC if bid security is in cash, cashier's check, or manager's check. The amount of not less than 5% of ABC if bid security is in black draft, guaranteed, irrevocable, letter of credit, or surety bond. Item 16.2. The bid security shall be valid until 120 calendar days for bid opening. Item clause 16.3. In case of extension of bid validity and bid security validity period, substitution of the bid security form is allowed. Bid security declaration in the following forms may be used. A. Cash or cashier's or manager's checks issued by the bank. B. Bank draft or guarantee or irrevocable letter of credit issued by a bank, provided, however, that it shall be confirmed or authenticated by a local bank if issued by a foreign bank. C. Surety bond callable upon demand issued by a surety or insurance company duly certified by the Insurance Commission as authorized to issue such security. ITB clause 19. The address for submission of bids is Bidding Group, DPWH Regional Office 4A, Canlumbay Interchange, Barangay Mayapa, City of Calamba, Laguna. And electronically should be submitted at electronic bids _R4A at dpwh.gov.ph. The deadline for submission of bids is August 12, 2026 at 10 a.m. For bids to be submitted electronically or online, the following procedure should be observed the following. DO 89-87, 2020. ITB clause 21.5, no further instructions. ITB clause 22.1, the date and time of bid opening is August 12, 2026 at 10 a.m. The place of bid opening is Bidding Group, DPWH Regional Office 4A, Canlumbay Interchange, Barangay Mayapa, City of Calamba, Laguna. ITB clause 22.2b, not applicable. ITB clause 25.3b1, 25b, 25.3b3, and 25.3b, no further instruction. LCRP is the award criterion. 25.3c1, not applicable. ITB clause 25.5a, partial bid is not allowed. The infrastructure project is packaged in a single lot and the lot shall not be divided into sublots for the purpose of bidding, evaluation, and contract award. In all cases, the NMCC computation, if applicable, must be sufficient for the lots or contracts to be awarded to the bidder. IDP clause 25.5b, bid correction shall be allowed. IDP clause 25.6, no further instruction. ITB clause 26.1, none except for permits or licenses expired during the bid evaluation and post-qualification stage. ITB clause 29.3F, additional contract documents relevant to the projects are 1. Construction schedule and S-curve, 2. Manpower schedule, 3. Construction methods, 4. Equipment utilization schedule, 5. Construction safety and health program approved by the procuring entity. ITB clause 30.2 not applicable. ITB clause 30.3, the performance security shall be in the form 1. The amount of not less than 10% of the contract price. If performance security is in cash, cashier's checks, manager's check, bank draft, guarantee, or revocable letter of credit. 2. The amount of not less than 30% of the contract price if performance security is surety bond. Now for the special conditions of contract. GCC clause 1.1, the intended completion date. GCC clause 1.2, the procurement entity is the Department of Public Works and Highways, DPWH, Regional Office Number 48. 1.3, the site is located as discussed previously. 1.4, the start date should not be later than 7 calendar days from its issuance date of receipt of the notice to proceed. 1.5, the work consists as discussed previously. 2.2, not applicable. 5.1, the procuring entity shall give possession of all parts of the site to the contractor upon the receipt of the notice to proceed. 6.5, the contractor shall employ the following key personnel. 1. Project manager. 2. Project engineer. 3. Materials engineer. 4. Construction safety officer. 5. Foreman. And 6. Geodetic engineer. 7.1, no further instructions. GCC clause 8.1, the amount of the advance payment is 15% of the contract amount in lump sum. 9.1, materials and equipment delivered on site but not yet incorporated in the works shall be included for payment. 9.4, the advance payment shall be repaid by the contractor by deducing 15% from his periodic progress payments, a percentage equal to the percentage of the total contract price used for the advance payment. 12.7, no further instruction. 13.1, the site investigation reports are done. 15.3, no further instruction. GCC clause 15.5, in case of permanent structures such as building of type 4 and 5 as classified under the National Building Code of the Philippines, and other structures made of steel, iron, or concrete which comply with relevant structure codes. For example, is DPW standard specification, such as but not limited to steel and concrete bridges, flyovers, aircraft movement areas, ports, dams, tunnels, filtration and treatment plants, sewerage system, power plant, transmission and communication towers, railway system, and other similar permanent structures. 15 years for contract ID numbers 1260-063, 1260-066, and 1260-067. In case of semi-permanent structures such as buildings of type 1, 2, and 3, as classified under the National Building Code of the Philippines, concrete and asphalt roads, concrete river control, drainage, irrigation line canals, river landing, deep wells, rock causeway, pedestrian overpass, and other similar semi-permanent structures for 5 years for conduct ID numbers 25D0210, 25D0270, and 25D0345. 19.2. No further instructions. 20. If the contractor is a joint venture, all parties to the joint venture shall be jointly and severally liable to the procuring entity. GCC Clause 25A, no further instruction. GCC Clause 27.2, violation which warrants suspension, which may include, but is not limited to the following violations below. A. Failure of the contractor, due solely to its fault of negligence, to mobilize and start work or performance within the specified period in the notice to proceed. B. Failure by the contractor to fully and faithfully comply with its contractual obligations without valid cause, or failure by the contractor to comply with any written lawful instruction for the procuring entity or its representatives pursuant to the implementation of the contract. For the procurement of infrastructure projects or consultancy contracts, lawful instructions include but not limited to the following. 1. Employment of the competent technical personnel, competent engineers and or work supervisor. 2. Provision of warning signs and barricades in accordance with approved plans and specification and contract provision. 3. Stockpiling in proper places of all materials and removal from the project site of waste and excess materials, including broken pavement, excavated debris, in accordance with approved plans and specification and contract provisions. 4. Deployment of committed equipment, facilities, support staff, and manpower. And 5. Renewal of the effectivity dates of the performance security after its expiration during the course of contract implementation. C. Assignment and subcontracting of the contract or any part thereof or substitution of key personnel made with the proposal with prior written approval with the procuring entity. D. Poor performance by the contractor or unsatisfactory quality and or progress of work arising from its fault or negligence as reflected in the CPES rating sheet. In the absence of the CPES rating sheet, the existing performance monitoring system of the procuring entity shall be applied. Any of the following acts by the contractor shall be construed as poor performance. 1. Negative slippage of 15% and above within the critical part of the project due entirely to the fault or negligence of the contractor. And 2. Quality of materials and workmanship not complying with the approved specification arising from the contractor's fault or negligence. E. Willful or deliberate abandonment or non-performance of the project or contract by the contractor resulting substantial breach thereof without lawful and or just cause. In addition to the penalty of suspension, the performance security posted by the contractor shall also be forfeited. GCC Clause 31.1. Day works are applicable at the rate shown in the contractor's original bid. 33.1. The contractor shall submit the program of works to the procuring entity within 10 calendar days of delivery from the notice of award. 33.3. The period between program of works updates in 1 month or 30 days, the amount to be withheld for late submission of an updated program of work is 1% of every progress building of the contractor. 36.3. The funding source is the government of the Philippines. 43.1. The percentage to apply to the value of the work not completed is at least one-tenth of 1% of the cost of that performed portion of every day of delivery. GCC Clause 44.5. Cases when extension of contract may be granted which may include the enumeration below. A. Rainy or unworkable days considered unfavorable for the prosecution of the works at the site. based on the actual condition of data at the site, in excess of the number of rating or workable days predetermined by the procuring entity in relation to the original contract time duration. The conduct of detailed engineering and the preparation of the contract documents as agreed upon by the parties before contract perfection and or major calamities such as exceptional typhoons, floods, and earthquakes and epidemics. C. Delay attributable to the procuring entity, such as non-delivery on time of materials, working drawings, or written information to be furnished by the procuring entity, non-acquisition of permit to enter private properties or non-execution of deed of sale or donation within the right of way resulting in complete paralysis of construction activities. And D. Other meritorious causes as determined by the procuring entity and approved by the HOP, such as shortage of construction materials, general labor strikes, and peace and order problems that disrupt construction operations through no fault of the contractor may be considered as additional grounds for extension of contract time provided they are publicly felt and certified by appropriate government agency such as DTI, DOLE, DILG, and DND, among others. GCC Clause 48.1. The date by which operating and maintenance manuals are required is 30 calendar days. The date by which as-built drawings are required is 30 calendar days. 48.2. The amount to be withheld for failing to produce as-built drawings and or operating and maintenance manuals by the date required is 10% of the final contract price. Now for the bid security. Bidders are allowed to choose any of the following forms: cash or cashier's or manager's check issued by the bank to persons of ABC, bank draft, guarantee, or irrevocable letter of credit issued by the bank, provided, however, that it shall be confirmed or authenticated by a local bank if issued by a foreign bank, 5% of ABC. Surety bond callable upon. The bond issued by a surety or insurance company duly certified by the Insurance Commission as authorized to issue such security, 5% of ABC. Bid security declaration. Important notice. Bids and bid securities shall be valid within 120 calendar days from the opening of bids. Now showing you here is the amount of cash, cashier's check, manager's check,
Wait lang. I-share ko ba yan? Nawala si Sheila.
now showing you here is the amount of bank guarantees irrevocable letter of credit or surety bond, 5% of ABC. Now, some checklist of the legal and technical requirements of the bid proposal. Showing you here this checklist of the technical and financial documents. 1. Technical components envelope. Now for under financial component envelope. Submission of bids. 1. Envelope system. Documentary requirements to design paginated with air tags and book bound for technical and financial envelopes, original. 1 original and 1 duplicate copy for the technical and financial case in 1 sealed envelope. Payment process of bidding documents is Monday to Thursday at 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Fridays 8 a.m. to 12 noon. The bidding dates is August 12, 2026 at 10 a.m. Now show you here is the cost of bidding documents. Important notice, the net financial contracting capacity or NFCC of the bidder shall be used in the eligibility processing. Prospective bidders must have an NFCC at least equal to the ABC to be produced as follows. IRR section 23.5.2.6. NFCC is equal to current asset minus current liabilities times 15. Value of proportion of all outstanding works under the bidders and going contracts, including awarded contracts, to be started, which portion coincide with the contract to be bid. Credit line commitment shall no longer be accepted. Per GPPD, Resolution Number 2013, dated July 30, 2013, and Department Order Number 37, Series of 2014, dated March 26, 2014. In the NFCC, the fixed factor of 50 shall be used in the computation of NFCC regardless of the contract duration. Work experience in similar contracts, prospective bidders must done a single largest completed contract or SLCC, similar to the contract to be procured and whose value at current prices is at least 50% of the ABC to be bid. That's all for the legal and financial thinking.
Sige.
Any questions on that?
Ito po, yung site visit po.
There's a question here to schedule ng visit. 66 you'll schedule na lang po the site visit. We post it. Para po if ever there are others, other prospective bidders who are wanting to join, isang schedule na lang po sa basic visit to conduct the site inspection. So we post for it. May questions na? Can you check?
May question ba po sila? Wala na po.
So there being other questions, the it will be included. Thank you.